Hey everybody, welcome back to my sawmill, my backyard. Today on the mill, I've got a birch log that I cut down at my grandparents' house last weekend. From what I've read, watched videos on, it's best to quarter saw birch because of the interlocking grain. Now, I've never quarter sawed anything before, so this is going to be a test to see if I can do it. I understand the concept and how the grain's supposed to look, but we'll see how it turns out. If it ends up being a dud, then I got some firewood out of it. So dimensions on the log, this end without the flares is right around 12-13 inches. Other end is about 17-18 inches. So I've got the pith centered, so the pith is about right here on the big end of the log. The pith is about 8.5 inches off the bunks. So I don't know if you can see it, but I've got some spacers in here to lift this end of the log up about that same distance, as close as I can get it. Overall length is about 9 foot. So we'll see what we can get out of this, and hopefully I can learn how to quarter saw today. So y'all stay tuned. I guess I should maybe start off with the method of how I'm going to do this. I believe I saw this on Out of the Woods Forestry with Nathan. But come to the pith, which is right here. I'm going to come up maybe about 1.5 to 2 inches, just depending on how much clearance I can get with the saw head and the blade, because the grain right now is running vertically, in a cut that would go across the log like this. So what I'll do is I'll cut somewhere maybe right in here. I'll slide this board off, and then I'll come down, cut maybe right across the center of the pith, and then come down another inch or two wherever I can get to where the grain's still running vertically, and I'll take that board off, and then I can come back later and take the pith out of it, because the pith is what's going to mess some boards up. And I really want these to stay as straight as possible. I'd really like to make something cool out of this, because this has been on my grandparents' property, since the tree started growing. They've had that place for a long time. So I really don't want to mess this up. So I think that's going to be my best bet, is to take a cut here, cut across the pith, and then another cut down. And then I believe Nathan called it the rollback method. I may have to take a break and go watch his video again on how to do it, but let's see if we can't get this done. Yeah, we'll go with that. Should be good. Whew. That was heavy. So my log is still left on the mill. When I was taking that last slab off, it got a little off center, so to fix that, I'm just going to flip the log over and let the flat part rest on the bunks, and I'll just come up from the bottom and cut that next slab. And then we'll worry about the leftovers. Out of gas. I just thought I'd bring you in a little closer to see here. This board in particular is the next cut. So I just did exactly what I did before, where I just left the flat side down and just came up from the bottom to cut another board. I think this one ended up being about 1.5 inches thick. I'm starting to run out of the straight grain that you see in quarter sawn wood, which I don't know how well that's going to come through on camera, but it's still relatively straight, save for a few places where there's some knots. So I need to take out the pith, so like this area right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the blade height to probably about right here, and then just go straight across. And I've got this board held up with the log clamp, as well as just some regular F-style clamps on the log stops. So what I'll do is I'll make this cut, take that board off, and then flip the board over so that I've got the flat side rested against the log bunks, and then we'll make another cut to get that pith completely out of there. And that's how I'll finish up all the other slabs. The top cut, if you're wondering, is that piece right there. Just didn't have enough meat on it for me to justify struggling through trying to figure out how to quarter saw that, just that little bit. So I'm gonna get the rest of this done, and I reckon I'll see y'all when I'm stacking it up. All right, well, I got her all stacked up, the top 2 layers, so these 2 boards, and these 2 boards are the center cuts with the pith in it. I'm gonna hang on to them. I don't really think I need to throw them away yet. We'll see how much they move. They're thick enough that if they do move, I may be able to get them squared up and be able to use them for something. I just don't want to chunk them just yet. The other purpose is that they're still really heavy, so they'll push down on all this stuff that is quarter sawn. And maybe help keep it even more flat. Maybe it'll dry nice and perfect. As far as the dimensions go, I just cut what I could get out of it. I ended up with some that were a little bit thicker than the others, and you know, if it comes down to it, I can always resaw it whenever I go to use it for a project. So this was a learning experience for me. Hopefully I did it right, and if I didn't, I'm sure one of the 7 people that see this video will comment on it and tell me what I did wrong. But I'm pretty happy with that. There was a lot of waste, which I knew that was going to happen. Anytime you read about, or anytime you quarter saw wood, there's a lot of waste there as opposed to just flat sawing. So I'm gonna leave this be for a little while. I'm gonna let it dry out for maybe about a week, and then I'll come back and seal the ends. Just from my experience, I never get good adhesion right after I saw to seal the ends. So I think I'm gonna call this good. Appreciate you watching, and as always, y'all have a good one.